Welcome to this explainer. Have you ever felt this bizarre, almost invisible wall stopping you from just expressing simple affection? Or maybe you've caught yourself repeating the exact same toxic patterns you absolutely swore you'd never inherit from your family? Well, today we're diving into exactly that. We're exploring how those hidden rules of our childhood totally shape our adult behaviors. And, more importantly, how we can literally rewire our brains using a pretty unexpected template. 90s action movies. Let's get right into it.
I want you to really let this idea sink in. What you are not allowed to do at home, you cannot do in the world. It's a heavy thought, right? But it speaks directly to any of us who feel this weird, invisible restriction when we try to just be ourselves as adults. Because an action that was repeatedly denied or even punished in your childhood home, it doesn't just magically disappear when you grow up. It gets unconsciously, but firmly, locked away.
So imagine growing up in a household that tightly restricts emotion. That environment actually creates a deeply ingrained physical reaction that literally freezes us out in the real world. Like if you were raised in a place where laughing out loud was totally frowned upon, you're probably going to struggle to find the natural rhythm to genuinely laugh at a party. Or if you were never allowed to ask for help as a kid, the very concept of relying on a partner later in life, it simply won't even occur to you. When people tell you to just be yourself, you freeze up. Why? Because those childhood restrictions are completely baked into your physical responses. Section 1. The wiring of the mind. Why willpower isn't enough.
You know when we swear up and down we won't repeat our parents' toxic mistakes, but then we snap under stress anyway? Yeah, that is just this old automatic childhood circuit firing off. Being repeatedly exposed to negative words as a kid, like, say, being called a nuisance over and over, it literally etches a physical circuit right into your nervous system. If you were constantly yelled at, your body learns to physically flinch. If you were never praised, your brain is going to automatically search for some hidden, ulterior motive the second someone gives you a compliment. It's an automatic bodily reaction, guys, not a conscious choice.
And honestly, I love this because it instantly removes all the shame. Your awkwardness isn't some deep personality flaw. It's literally just a lingering physical trace left by your upbringing. Sure, you might have this constant fear of being found out by super observant people, but understanding exactly why you react this way, it is incredibly freeing. You are not broken. Your nervous system is just carrying around the echoes of your childhood, and recognizing that is the absolute first step toward overriding the whole system.
Section 2. The expression gap when the mind and body disconnect.
Okay, so here's that incredibly frustrating phenomenon, the expression gap. It's when your brain totally knows it should say thank you or I love you, but your body literally freezes. Why? Because that affection circuit was just never developed. If you grew up in a house where praise was completely absent, you obviously know the concept of kindness, right? But translating that concept into a physical action, it feels like trying to walk through wet cement. The knowledge in your head and the physical habit in your body are just entirely disconnected.
Now, people with really keen observation skills, they might pick up on these tiny, awkward behavioral tells. Things like the slightly delayed timing of your eye contact, or your super rigid reaction speed when someone actually praises you, or even just how awkwardly you deliver a compliment. But again, I cannot stress this enough. This is not because you lack love or empathy. No way. It is strictly because the mental and physical wiring for expressing that love simply hasn't been built yet. Just realizing this disconnect exists is a massive, massive leap forward.
But that brings us to a really tricky question, doesn't it? If we didn't have role models at home to teach us how to naturally express all that warmth, how on earth are we supposed to learn it as adults? Where exactly do we go to find a model for love?
Well, the solution here is brilliantly unconventional. Yup, action movies. Now, usually, when we think of learning how to express love, we picture these sweeping, dramatic romance films, right? But actually, there is a way better alternative.
See, romance movies focus really heavily on these flowery, grand verbal declarations that honestly might literally make us choke on our words. Action movies, on the flip side, offer a total masterclass in expressing deep, undeniable affection solely through actions. Think about it. Those gruff, fierce father figures like the Terminator or Liam Neeson in Taken, they barely speak, but their profound love is demonstrated entirely by shielding a child or just showing up when it really matters. For someone whose verbal circuits are completely blocked, this is an incredibly accessible model. You don't have to be a poet. You can just start by acting out supportive, protective behaviors.
So by treating love almost like a borrowed acting role at first, your brain eventually overwrites that old childhood programming. There is absolutely zero shame in just copying a behavioral form straight from a movie character. Will it feel completely fake and awkward at first? Oh, for sure. You're going to feel like a total imposter. But that is exactly how you build a brand new neural pathway. You act it out, you fully embrace the clumsiness, and you patiently repeat it. And eventually, you hit this magic tipping point, where the conscious acting just kind of fades away, and it actually becomes a genuine, natural part of who you are.
Section 3. Breaking the cycle. Passing on a better circuit. By putting in this hard work, the affection you bravely forced yourself to practice eventually becomes the completely effortless, natural baseline for the next generation. Now, obviously, it requires immense patience to overwrite deep childhood conditioning. But just look at the payoff here. You are literally learning to give something you were never even given. If you create an environment where expressions of love are just the everyday norm, it becomes as natural as breathing for your children or your partner. That toxic cycle of restriction, it literally stops with you.
I really want to leave you with this final thought. You have the absolute power to ensure the physical traces your future loved ones inherit are made of warmth, not restriction. You are not doomed by the environment you grew up in. By simply recognizing those ingrained habits, bravely borrowing a new form, and patiently acting it out, you can entirely rewire your own mind. So what new circuit are you going to build for the next generation today? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. I really hope it gave you a powerful new perspective on your own incredible potential for change.